evening. I'm Sujatha. I come from Bridge International Academies. Before I start today, I'd like to take a moment to talk about what happened 15 years ago. I think in this very same room. I was a research associate with Center for Civil Society, and we probably had our first conference then, where we talked about vouchers, we talked about school choice, and we also had Professor Tooley present his work on low-fee private schools. 15 years down, I think the sector has come a long way, and we have parts, unwavering commitment, and the enormous body of work that CCS has done over the last 15 years to build the sector up. I'm going to start my presentation with a very short 2-minute video that actually highlights the innovations that Bridge actually deploys using technology and how we use data to drive decision-making and academic gains. It'll be a short 2-minute video, and then I'll explain a little more about what we do in our classrooms.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, teacher. How are you? Today, our goal is to correctly use vocabulary words in a sentence.
Now you are going to work with your neighbor. This is a word problem that has information missing.
I stands for inquire.
Open your listening and speaking books, page 6.
Kilometer.
Good job. 1, 2, 3, 4.
2 kilometers and 6 kilometers.
KCPE. What's our goal, class?
KCPE.
Good. All of you, thumbs up for Livingstone. Great work. Well done.
Nafurahia. Unajua mtoto akiwa smart hata wewe unafurahia ukiwa mzazi. Ninafuraha nikiona akivaa, akitoka, akipiga kiatu radi, akifanya nini? Nafurahia.
He's going to be wise because Bridge is taking him somewhere.
When I grow up, I want to be a pilot.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
When I grow up, I want to be an engineer.
When I grow up, I want to be a dentist.
I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about Bridge International Academies. So we were founded by Jay Kimmelman and Shannon May in 2009. We started off with one school in Mukuru in Nairobi in Kenya. Today we have 523 schools, and we have 405 schools in Kenya. We have 63 schools in Uganda. We have 26 schools in Liberia in partnership with the government in Liberia. We have 25 schools in Nigeria, and we have just launched our first 4 schools in Andhra Pradesh. We have 108,000 pupils across our 5 countries and our 523 schools. We target in India, let me be specific to India. In India, we work with parents who have an income between 3,000 rupees to 13,000 rupees a month. Most of our parents are agricultural laborers, daily wage earners. Currently, our 4 schools in Andhra Pradesh are fairly rural, and 1 school is in a peri-urban location. Most of them are agricultural laborers there. Each of our school is a community-led school. So we hire our teachers within walking distance from our school. Each of our academy is also managed by an academy manager who belongs to the community. So we, apart from democratizing the access to high-quality education, we also generate jobs in every community that we serve. So across our 5 countries, we have 5,700 employees. We've had more than 6,000 of our employees, teachers and managers included, trained. We've also, because we run all of our schools end to end, we do everything from designing our own curriculum to even building our schools, to deploying our own products, our uniforms. In Africa, we have feeding programs as well. So we have our in-house construction, manufacturing, and supply chain units. So we have about 6,000 plus jobs that we actually have generated in each of the community, across all of the communities that we've served. I'm not going to dwell much on on Bridge as a solution, because I think what actually binds us together today is all the problems and how all of us are working together to solve some of these problems. But something I'd like to talk about is Bridge's mission is driven by the academic gains that we want our children to make. We have sufficient body of data from 2009 across our schools in Kenya. Those studies actually show that Bridge pupils are actually achieve fluency at 2x the speed at which the peers in neighboring schools are achieving. We have extra instructional hours to drive these academic gains. And because of our technology-led delivery and because of how we deploy data to track every aspect of our delivery, our teacher absenteeism is down to 0.8%. In India, everything about Bridge is non-compliant with the Right to Education Act. We do not use qualified teachers. We do not use, none of our teachers in Kenya and Uganda, and in fact in Uganda we're actually fighting closure. The teacher unions have sort of garnered their support with like-minded organizations, and there's a court order to shut us down. And the parents are working very closely with us. And the government, some parts of the government is also working very closely with us to see how we can keep us open. In Kenya, we face similar problems. So when we entered India, we were wiser by the experience that Bridges had with non-compliance in these 2 countries. So part of our reason why we worked with Andhra Pradesh also is the attitude of the government there. They're very reforms-driven. They want to work with private players who are holding themselves accountable to academic gains, because ultimately that's what we want to do, and which is why we decided to partner with the government of Andhra Pradesh. So essentially this partnership, under this partnership, I get infrastructure that helps me be RTE compliant from the government of Andhra Pradesh. Bridge makes an investment. The infrastructure I got was, each school was like 2 rooms, which were crumbling. These were all built in 1981. And structurally they were extremely unsafe buildings. But Bridge actually made that investment into each of these schools. We have built RT compliant schools, but we have recruited teachers from the neighborhood area. So like our teachers come from anything between 1 to 3 kilometers distance from the communities that we serve, and they walk to school. We have a mix of qualified and unqualified teachers, and we've trained them. Our 4 school managers are also from the community, and we opened our first 4 schools in 4 districts across Andhra Pradesh in July this year, and we've had about 550 students enrolled with us. So what actually drives Bridge is we want to innovate, we want to deploy technology, we want to sort of drive academic gains, but we want to do this at scale, right? And we realize that we can do this at scale only if, and we can also sort of standardize our academic gain across the large sort of number of students that we serve, if we're able to use technology wherein we actually bring down the human intervention that is required. So each of our teacher, as you would have seen in the videos, has a teacher computer, right? And the teacher computer, and a caveat that I would like to sort of start with is that none of our schools in Kenya and most of our schools in Uganda do not have access to electricity, right? So we actually work with neighborhoods with the assumption that we do not probably have access to power, and that actually something that we take into account while we deploy our teacher computers and an academy manager smartphone. Each academy is managed by an academy manager who has a smartphone. Every morning when the teacher walks into the academy manager's smartphone, which is the only device which is connected to the internet, syncs with the teacher computers, and that's how teachers mark their attendance every morning. And the beginning of every week, when the academy manager's phone and the teacher computers sync, we have the teacher's lessons downloaded for the entire week. In a classroom, when the teacher, so let me just go to this. We have extensive lesson guides that are actually offered through our teacher computers, right? So each lesson is actually broken down into sections, and behind each of the lessons we have approximately 15 hours of R&D that goes into, led by our global as well as our in-country academic team. And our lesson delivery is monitored. So what essentially happens is that when a teacher starts a lesson, we have a time tag. We have a tag about at what time the teacher actually starts delivery of the lesson. And as the teacher scrolls through each section of the lesson, we also get a tag on how much time a teacher has actually spent on the delivery of the lesson, right? So that's how we sort of monitor our time on task. We take pupil attendance twice a day. Our pupil scores, we have assessments every 10 days, so the data gets recorded on the teacher computers. The teachers also, what is also essentially important to us is, given the kind of teachers that we work with from the neighborhood, we realize that post-training, their in-classroom support is most important. So our in-classroom support is actually quite strong because the teachers actually mark their feedback and pass it on to the academy manager, who then sort of sends it on our proprietary platform to the academic team. And based on the feedback that the academic team has received from the teachers actually receive messages on a teacher messaging platform that sort of continues to support their lesson delivery. Now, our academy manager smartphone, teacher attendance is something that is marked every day. Our pupil scores, feedback from teachers, teacher observations, we have both short form as well as long form observations. All of this is actually recorded on the academy manager's smartphone. We also do all of our school administration on the academy manager's smartphone. What actually drives all our sort of quest for academic gains amongst these children is the pupil growth that we want to constantly demonstrate. And how do we do this? We have a centralized sort of academics and operations team which sits at the back end and analyzes data. And yeah, so I'm just coming straight to this. So essentially, we're actually able to track each of the teachers. We're able to track by school, by district, by teachers, how much time they're actually spending on lesson plans, if they have, and actually, if they're spending a lot of time, that basically tells us that they're struggling with a lesson plan. If they spend too less time, then we know that there is a problem over there. And if the problem is consistent, we know there is a problem that we need to sort of look at in terms of our lesson design. But then this data also sort of tells us who are the teachers who are struggling with their delivery. Also, what we do is we want to drive pupil growth because that's all we want to do. And all of our teacher evaluations is essentially sort of guided by the pupil growth data. So the assessments that we conduct every 10 days is fed into the teacher computers, which then goes to the academy manager smartphone, which then goes to the back end, and we're constantly tracking pupil growth. This actually helps to sort of like identify who are the great teachers, who are the teachers who need more support, and then that actually helps our academic team and my field support academic staff to actually work with the teachers that are struggling and build them up a lot more. Also helps us identify best practices and sort of disseminate that at a larger scale. And yeah, I think with that I'm going to stop.